Yeah, I guess we're on. Let's check out the sound here. Hey, what's going on, party people? Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of L'Esprit. I am a spiritual healer. Welcome to my brand new channel. So, what I do here technically is that we talk about certain proverbs or wise quotes or wisdom, a saying, however you like to put it. And the reason being, I have decided I wanted to talk about these because to me, those are fully loaded statements. There's a bunch of experiences and wisdom that are hidden in those sayings. So therefore, it's worth to talk about because I strongly believe that's the only shortcut you can ever get in terms of processing or enhancing your consciousness. A lot of them, they kind of go without saying in terms of, the beauty of them too. You don't try to expand it too much, but the ones that I choose to actually talk about, those are the ones that we can actually talk about, if that makes any sense. Now, with no further ado, that's exactly what we do here. Welcome. So let's get right into it. So, the statement that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is you being the salt and the light of the world. Now, in terms of the verbatim, how it was said, um, you know, specifically, I don't fucking remember. But technically, what that was saying is that Jesus, I guess, was saying, it's in Matthew 5, verse 13 through like 16. All right. So that's the best I could do for you. Now, as a spiritual healer, I know it's not something that a lot of us do in terms of, quoting the Bible or even using the Bible as a tool. You know, um, well, I mean, I'm here to change all that shit. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I mean, I've went through my journey too. Where in the beginning was the Bible, then fuck the Bible. Now it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I could quote anybody, Islam, the Bible, it doesn't matter because ultimately we are all talking about the same thing. And when it comes to wisdom, wisdom is always going to be wisdom regardless of where it comes from. Do you see how do you see the wisdom in those statements? And that in itself was a fully loaded statement too. Is it not? So it doesn't really matter. However, knowing that a lot of you guys have a strong Christian background. So I'm willing to meet you where you at. That's all I'm doing. But there's a lot more that we can talk about. But anyway, to get back to that statement, you being the light and I mean the salt and the light of the world. Damn, I feel like I'm not doing it justice without you know what I'll do? I'll have it written somewhere, right? So I think that way you could see it, that you'll know what I'm talking about. But in my opinion, I think it kind of goes without saying. I'm assuming most people know about it. Technically, what the statement is telling you is that you being the salt of the world, I mean, you want to be that. Meaning, if you lose your flavor, and I think that's how it was said too. If you somehow lose your flavor, how useful are you? And what makes this a fully loaded statement? Because this is pretty much telling you everything here. This statement here is really talking about the practicality of everything. And just like I always tell you guys too, and even the idea of Jesus, which is a spirit that is in a body, maybe I should start there. Start there because I feel like a lot of people, and that's where religion kind of went left because instead of the idea of Jesus being in the body is reflecting the spirit that we are. Because you got to understand the whole Jesus story well, like I said, story is actually copied from, it's a horror story. In fact, I can't recall the name of that guy. I started reading it. Now, history is not too much of my thing. Although I mean, I know what I need to know. I don't need to go too deep into it. But ultimately, what he was talking about was that Jesus story is just a horror story. So now I want you to understand. So now, why would we, us, spiritual teachers or even masters, would have to embody or create a story like that? Because the idea behind it is to let you know that that spirit is you. So we put it in the human form so you can relate to it because it's all about the narrative. So now you may argue maybe, like the whole mind control when we're talking about Jesus and shit, it pretty much comes in, by giving you a white man and all that shit. But if you could skip all that shit, because it doesn't matter. Ultimately, what this is representing, and that's the power of mythology. When we're talking about mythology, for instance, we talk about Horus, we talk about Seth, we talk about Osiris. Those are all, and we use people. Then Osiris is Seth's brother, and brother Seth is Osiris' brother. This is just to make the connection in everything that we are pretty much that we are living. So the story of Jesus is nothing but your story. Because Jesus represents nothing but your consciousness. And as you're growing consciously, guess what? You're gonna go through some of the shit that Jesus come through. I mean, went through. That's why if even, let's just say if Jesus were to come back right now, shit, y'all don't even recognize me. You probably call me evil. You know what I'm saying? But isn't that what he was talking about? And think about it. At that time, with tradition being what it was at that time, now this nigga's telling you he's the son of God. You see, a lot of us, the misunderstanding of that is that we categorize, like that him being the son of God instead of seeing that we are all son of God. Isn't that what the message is? Do you see what I'm saying? That's why it doesn't matter. You could talk about Jesus all day long. It's not, I mean, it doesn't mean anything to your life. But when you start living like him, you embody the Jesus idea or the Jesus spirit, then it makes a difference. Then now at this point, you become him. So you being the salt of the earth, this is pretty much displaying the practicality of some of the things that I always tell you guys in the sense of, your spirituality has to be materialized. Just like when he was talking about the lamp, right? You wouldn't have a lighting lamp and put it under a table. It wouldn't make sense. So in other words, if you're not yourself, you're wasting your time. Because this is a fully loaded statement. Like this is saying being a salt, and we're using salt. Salt in itself, the essence of salt, it speaks for itself. Are you in your essence? See, again, this is a depiction of the society that we're living in. Like generally speaking, when I talk on my other channel, I always like to give you a bit of a background of what spirituality is. And, this is what spirituality is all about. This is your life. Quite often, people think about it as something that's outside of you. Well, that's the misconception. That's ignorance. And that's pretty much the reason why, like, we're pretty much are being raised in society where, you don't embrace who you are. So if you don't embrace who you are, I mean, again, to get back to that salt example, I mean, what are you doing? You see what I'm saying? So again, and even here's something else too. Just like this is pretty much stating or letting you know, how this life is all about living, becoming and living. So if you're being the soul of the world, or let's just say, if you're not being you, what are you doing? What are you offering to the world? Or better yet, to even society? By me getting into my essence, now I'm able to bring something forth to the society. Or someone else could be, you know what I'm saying? And it's all needed because we're all one. We're all interdependent. So again, here the bottom line is, if you're not being practical, and the practicality is like, the purpose of having knowledge is for you to be wise. This is not clout, man. Like, if you, how can you get this so wrong? Because it's right in front of you. So you want to sound smart. You don't want to be smart. And generally speaking, when you become smart, it's different than sounding smart. Because now you understand the purpose of knowledge. It's not for me to show off. No, it's for me to actualize that type of shit, to make my life better. And as I'm doing so, hopefully making your life better too. So being the salt and the light of the world is for you to be you. But most importantly, understand you being you, you gotta materialize that. The words gotta be made flesh. It's the practicality of everything that you do. That's why most of us we talk about Jesus, but it means nothing until you living like Jesus. Then if you're living like Jesus now it's a whole different ball game. This is now at that point you start to show compassion. At that point you start to do pretty much everything else, and even being greater than Jesus said that you'll be. But you have to understand the whole idea of Osiris, Horus, Jesus, Buddha. It's being put in a human form so you can relate to it. The message is telling you this is you. That's what the narrative is. So the idea of Buddha, for instance, is not some fucking monk. I mean, it could be that. I mean, that's how you want to choose to look at it. And not some motherfucker walking around, you know what I'm saying, with towels wrapped around his ass, you know what I'm saying, and seeking meditation. All of that is nice. I mean, it's all part of. In fact, it's reflecting you. But the greater picture here is that it's a representation of you right here, right now. Because I feel like a lot of the Jesus, I mean, that's where it get lost in translation, and you're not truly benefiting from the word because if it's not applicable into your life, I mean, you're just talking. And life is all about living. And guess what? If you're not living this, you're living something else. There's no way around it. I think the great late Dr. Lila Africa said it best. You don't just become stupid, you practice stupidity. Why? Because life, in essence, in its essence, it's all about living. It's all about doing. The law of vibration is all around us. You're doing something. It may not be what you want to do, but trust me, you're doing something. It's like just like he said, what I'm saying, it takes time for you to become stupid. And when you're practicing stupidity, what you're doing is it's not elevating your mind. It's always gossiping. It's all the bullshit. Oh, you doing that.